Hello, everyone, and welcome to this evening's Parents and Family Forum. My name is Eric Lasan, and I'm from Alumni and Parent Engagement. Thanks to all of you for joining us. Before we begin, I'll share a few logistical items. This session will operate much like a webinar. We've taken the questions submitted by you in advance and shared them with our panelists so they can include those answers in their remarks. I'll be monitoring the webinar for additional questions submitted via the Q&A tab at the bottom of your Zoom screen. The microphone on your computer will not be active during this meeting. I'll also serve as technical support this evening. You can use the chat feature or Q&A function if you're having technical difficulties, and I'll do my best to help. This evening's session will focus on career development at Willamette. And now I'll introduce Mandy Devereux. As a career professional with over 14 years of experience, Mandy has expertise in strategic leadership, relationship management, employer engagement, and career advising. She began as the Director of Career Development at Willamette in June of 2017. Mandy earned an Associate's of Arts in Public Relations before transferring to Columbia College for her Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. After serving as a career professional for over a decade, Mandy enrolled in Oregon State University and earned an MBA in Executive Leadership. Mandy is proud of her Midwestern roots and to have been the first person in her family to attend college. She lives here in Salem with her family and poodle Lucky. Thanks to you and your team for being with us tonight, Mandy.
Thank you, Eric. And thank you all for joining us. Many of you I may have had the opportunity to meet over family weekend. And as promised, this session really highlights the team, the career development team. So before we get started in our formal presentation, I'm going to ask the team to introduce themselves to you so you can get to know them a little bit, and then we will continue into the presentation. And we're going to get started with our Assistant Director for Career Education, Dr. Ann Lapour. Ann?
Hi, nice to see everybody. Can you see me and hear me both okay? Wonderful. So I'm Ann Lapour, and I'm, as Mandy said, the Assistant Director for Career Education at the Office of Career Development. What that means is I do a lot of things. I do career advising with our students. I do a lot of faculty collaboration, so trying to get into classrooms, connect with faculty members, and integrate our career development ideas into the classrooms. And then I also teach our career planning and decision-making course. I'm originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma, went to the University of Missouri in Columbia. So you have two Columbia, Missouri people coming at you this evening, which is a little strange, but and got my undergraduate degree in psychology, did a thesis on the career development of women, and realized that I was very much passionate about the intersection of psychology and career. And so I went on to get my PhD in counseling psychology, and specialized with my research and practical opportunities in the psychology of career development. So that's where I've been since then. Worked at Oregon State for a while and am now happy to be a Bearcat. So that's me. And I will pass it on to Jessica Davis.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Davis. My pronouns are she, her. I am the career advisor for the Renjen Deloitte Pathways program, which is a new program that was established here in our office to support students from historically excluded backgrounds. So that includes our BIPOC and LGBTQ plus students who are neurodivergent and have disabilities, first generation and low income students, and also our international and veteran students as well. I identify as a person from many of those backgrounds. I'm a woman of color, I'm queer, I'm first generation, I come from a low income background. And so it's always been a part of my work and my passion area to try to support others from marginalized communities. And we are really lucky at Willamette. It's not common to have a role in the career development specifically targeted for equity, diversity, and inclusion, although realistically, it's a part of all of our work. So I'm really grateful to work for an office that really centers supporting those students in their professional development and just being a safe space for our students, no matter their identity. I'm from North Carolina, so if you notice my Southern accent, that's why. I'm new to Oregon and new to Willamette, and I'm very excited to be here. So thank you all.
Manny, you're up next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Manny Cifuentes-Machado, and I'm the career advisor for business and entrepreneurship. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm super excited to be here tonight to talk to you all. Specifically within my role, I assist students who are interested within the realm of business and entrepreneurship. They don't necessarily need to be majoring in those programs, but do have an interest within those two specific areas. My background is specifically coming from human resources. Specifically, I love the recruitment side. That is definitely one of the things that I am super excited about, that I get to continue here in building relationships with our students, getting them opportunities, as well as connecting them to employers. Aside from that, I was a former business major at Dominican University of California, furthered my my educational path at the University of San Francisco by specifically majoring in higher education and student affairs. And with that said, I will send it over to Lynn Brown.
Thank you, Manny. My name is Lynn Brown. I'm the director of the Talent Hub in Portland. My pronouns are she, her, and I have a long and meaningful connection with Willamette University. I did my undergraduate work in psychology at Willamette, and when I was little, I was 7 years old, my dad taught at Willamette until I was 12 years old. And so I already told Eric that I spent a lot of time in Waller Hall during my childhood, which I kind of chuckle when I think that it kind of comes full circle. I'm back at Willamette. But in addition to that, I had other meaningful relationships with Willamette. I served on the alumni board and participated in focus groups and some really good work about Willamette's place here in the Northwest as a regional university and in the national scene. And I also have my son and his wife who completed the MBA program here at Willamette. And so I'm happy to be continuing my relationship with Bearcat. But my specialty is connecting our students and alumni to jobs, specifically in Portland. And in the last 3 years, I've been the director of career services at the Pacific Northwest College of Art, which is a recent merger acquisition with Willamette. And I've continued my role mostly in Portland, but extending my connections and my expertise to the Willamette community in lots of different ways, internships and also connections to employer partners in the Portland region. So I'm happy to be on this panel tonight. Maybe my most important qualification is I am the parent of 3 kids who've completed undergraduate and graduate programs, and know some of the questions that come up and some of the important things that career development can provide for your student. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn. So to get us started, I am first going to share with everyone a little bit about what we'll cover. We're going to talk about career development at Willamette. We're going to talk about our model and how we frame career development. And then each team member will have a chance to showcase their work and tell you a little bit about what they do and how they support your student here at the university. Eric mentioned that I started at Willamette in 2017, and I was hired to kind of re-envision career development and think about how we can best support our students. It was at the exact same time I was finishing my MBA at Oregon State. And what I did for my capstone project is a lot of research on the future of work and how liberal arts institutions can provide holistic career development services to a very diverse population of students. And that really shaped the way that our whole office was built and the way that I began advocating for our students and the staff that now serve our students. Career communities is the model that we frame our structure on. Essentially, I'll go into the next slide and talk a little bit about the career communities and kind of how they're shaped and why they're shaped that way. But the way that our office really focuses on students is we're career development. And a lot of people think that that means life after Willamette. And yes, we do want to prepare your students for a successful career and life after they leave the institution. But we really focus on early career engagement, having students really have the opportunity to integrate their career development into their academic preparation so that they have the opportunity to explore options, to make well-informed decisions, and to really engage in a more holistic view of how their academic and their career preparation are aligned. This is specifically, I think, important for students from underrepresented backgrounds, which is how we ended up getting Jessica's role in our office, because students from underrepresented populations are actually statistically less likely to engage in career development, and the opportunity to really work with them early in their academic preparation, even before they declare a major, so that they can make well-informed choices as they move along through university is really important. So the career communities model is based on the Bureau of Labor Statistics career clusters model. Through my research I did with my MBA, we decided on these particular 6. There are more, if anyone knows the career clusters framework. These are the 6 most likely that our students are interested in going into, or that I saw research-wise that they end up pursuing after graduation. The goal is really for us to ensure that our office provides career development resources in the areas that your students are most interested in exploring, that we have professionals and we have expertise within all 6 of these communities, and that we are actively cultivating internships, employer relationships, and alumni mentorships across all of these various interest areas for your students. And it really frames everything that we do. And we're kind of almost right in the middle of building this out. We have, Manny's actually our very first kind of exact model that I wrote in my MBA capstone project of this is a career advisor for a career community. He has business and entrepreneurship. And then we are in the process of hiring for some additional staff that will actually round out this model. We'll end up with expertise, specific career professional within each one of these 6 career communities. So as we've built this model and framed our work around integrating career and academics, making sure that we are focused on building employer relationships, that we are being intentional about working with our students from underrepresented populations, and then building the career advisor expertise. That is really where we're at, and the team that gets to talk to you a little bit about their work today. So we will get started again with Anne, and she will talk a little bit about her work integrating career and academics.
Thank you, Mandy. So again, thanks for being here. If my background looks a little strange, it's because my family is on vacation right now, and we are in the mountains. So I'm hoping that my connection and everything is working appropriately. So anyway, so career and academic integration is something that has been very important to me, really from the time I started at Willamette. This is my 5th year. And I have noticed over time that as much as it's very important for us to hold services in our office and in our space, and workshops around campus hosted by us. Can you see me? I don't think I'm spotlighted, Mandy. Yeah.
I had you spotlighted, but I just unspotlighted you.
I'll just give it a second. Oh, there I am. Okay. See, I'm in the mountains. So, okay. Thank you. Thanks for your patience, everybody. So, something that I have found, as I was saying, is that as much as I like for students to come into our space, we have found that getting ourselves into classrooms is a really effective way of students learning who we are, learning how we can help them, put faces to names, and feel a little bit more comfortable coming to see us in our own space and career development. So it's been really my mission for quite a while, but especially since taking on this role of career education, to build more relationships with our faculty members. So I pay very close attention when doing that to our career communities. So if I feel that there are some classrooms, some academic departments, some majors that we don't see a lot of their students, or I want to see more of those students, I might reach out to faculty members and try to come into their classroom and build that connection, build that relationship with both the faculty member and with their students. So the focus when we do that kind of programming, where I come into the classroom, is really on the transferable skills that students are gaining in those departments and in those academic majors and within those career communities. And then teaching them not only how to identify maybe their communication skills as an English major or their analysis skills as a philosophy major, but then to understand how those can be articulated in resumes, in cover letters, in actual applications for jobs, internships, and graduate programs. So we talk a lot in the liberal arts about how transferable and how important a liberal arts education is to professional development. But then we really want to take that next step and teach the students, yes, you have great critical thinking skills as, fill in the blank major, but how do you then articulate that and market yourself appropriately? So I often, sometimes even build assignments with the faculty members. I will talk with them about what their students are doing in their classes that I can then help the students understand how to present in their applications and their materials. Another thing that I do as part of career and academic integration is teach a career planning course. So this was a course that was offered in career development way back when and had stopped being offered. And shortly after I began at Willamette, really made it my goal to offer that course again, for which Mandy was very supportive. And so redesigned that course to really focus on not just what are you going to major in and then what are you going to do with it? That's obviously very important, but we want to look a little bit beyond that and really think about how are students learning life skills to make themselves flexible and nimble in the job market, and how can we help them understand how to network with professionals and research different potential paths that they might take, with the understanding that those can often change and that those can shift and clarify with time and with self-knowledge. So there's a strong emphasis on self-knowledge in those classes, and there's a strong emphasis on research and networking. So those are the main initiatives for career and academic integration. Another project that I've been involved in, very closely connected with my colleague Jessica, who you'll hear from in a moment, is working on connecting with our sophomore class. So we spend a lot of energy on those first year students, getting them acclimated to the university. And sometimes we spend a lot of energy on our wonderful third and fourth year students, getting them out there into internships and jobs. The sophomores, though, are at a really critical moment in their career development. They're having to declare a major if they haven't done so already. They're maybe making decisions about what kinds of co-curricular opportunities they want to get involved in. They're making decisions about maybe studying abroad or summer internships. Some really important things are going on for those students. And so we want to see them. If we haven't seen them in our office already, we really want to make connections with those students and make sure that they're making intentional choices about their career development and that they feel supported. So a few things that Jessica and I have been up to try and reach that sophomore class. We were highly involved in the recent majors fair that was offered. We also are working on a targeted workshop that is going to emphasize just what I said, intentionality in the opportunities, the hands-on opportunities that sophomores might be pursuing, and delving a little deeper into the choice of their major and how they can build upon those academic experiences with some hands-on, high-impact learning. So we are looking at some creative ways to reach that class, but that's something that has been a project for us and will continue to be throughout the year. So that's a little bit about what I do. I want to make sure to turn it over to my colleagues who are doing lots of exciting things as well. So I'm going to hand it over to Jessica Davis now, so she can tell you about her initiatives.
Thanks, Anne. Shall I wait until I'm pinned? Awesome. So traditionally, career development offices are spaces that help students prepare for their professional lives, right? But a lot of our systems and our ideas of professionalism are based around very specific identities. Higher education itself was originally built for wealthier, white, cisgender, heterosexual Christian men because those were the only people working at the time. So a lot of what we know even today or view as professional is centered around whiteness, heteronormativity, certain social classes, and just Western norms in general. But of course, now, today in 2021, it's not just those cis hetero white men working anymore, right? So identity-based career support is actually really critical because our identities and our backgrounds can absolutely shape the career decisions that we make. So identities including our race and ethnicity, our family structures, our cultural backgrounds, religion, our sexuality, the type of environments that we grew up in and what kinds of things we were exposed to in those environments. All of those have significant impact on our values and what we decide to pursue. So a huge part of career success is really finding work that is meaningful to us and aligns with our values and also supports our identities. So if family is really important to us, which for many students who are first generation or come from different cultural backgrounds, family and being close to help serve the family is really important, right? So maybe we need to find a career that keeps them within an hour of their family or even working remotely. Or if financial security is one of their top values, we might help them choose a field that they believe is going to allow them to make more of a substantial income. So in our office, kind of regardless of who a student speaks with, we are going to do our best to connect with them and explore some of those background pieces, really get to know the student and be relational with them. I'll speak specifically for myself now and in this role, but when a student comes to my office, I want to find out, what is most important to them so that we can understand together what influences their decision-making process and even help them explore different options for careers and work environments that support those values or understand, how they came to take on those values. Mandy's already said it, and you'll probably hear us say this a good bit, but it's so important for students to engage with our office early and often. Career development is not just a place to stop by during your last semester of senior year. So the earlier a student gets into our space and shares those different parts of themselves with us, the more time that we have to support them with that exploration process and to help them build their portfolio. Because that's honestly a big part of what the collegiate experience is, right? You all know your students very well, and by now you've probably heard of the culture at Willamette. It's very rigorous academically. A lot of our students are involved in multiple organizations, or they have jobs and they're playing sports and they're trying to get as many internships as possible. And it can feel overwhelming for a first or even a second year student to adjust to that culture and kind of questioning how they make it all work. And it can be especially challenging from students from one or more marginalized identities, because oftentimes those of us who have been excluded because of our different identities, we can feel pressure to be independent, figure it out on our own. I don't need to ask for help. I can do this. But and I'll say I really want students to know that they don't have to navigate this experience on their own. We are here to help. I'm here to help, whether that be with choosing a major or deciding what extracurriculars will help them to enhance their resume, or even just, actually engaging in the job search process in a way that takes into account their identities and the things that are important to them and their former experiences, right? So I provide one-on-one advising appointments. I strive to be as culturally sensitive and just aware and responsive during those meetings. So I'm very flexible and try my best to provide the services that the students need in whatever ways work best for them. So far this semester, we've also had some programming that is specific for some student populations. So we have a regular program series called First Gen and Juice for our first generation students. We've had some programming for our LGBTQ plus students. And there's more to come, because as a new person here at Willamette, in this role being new, I think a huge part of my job and a huge part of what I love to do is just connecting with students. So sometimes my work is going on a trip. Last Friday, I just went to Portland with a group of students from different multicultural affairs groups. And we went to Portland for the day, and it was nice to just spend time with them, connect. I actually want to hear what students need and how they can feel supported. And so I love just spending time with the students to get to know them and then brainstorm programs to come. My most important thing is that I just want students to feel empowered. I want them to feel confident. I want them to own their skills, own their cultural wealth, own their backgrounds and their identities, feel confident with building a network and asking for help, and just feel really empowered. So that's just a big part of what is important to me and what I'm trying to incorporate into my work. And there will be so much more to come as I'm developing the role. I'm going to pass it off now to Manny. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jessica. So I am once again going to talk about a little bit more about my role and what it actually means to be a career advisor. So Mandy shared a little bit earlier about the career community model. And my position is the very first position that is catered towards a career community. So what does it actually mean to be a career advisor for a career community? So it's really first knowing about all the different trends, about the movements of an industry. So essentially staying up to date on expertise so that we can be able to provide that for our students. Are there new job opportunities being involved? Is there less job opportunities? Are there shifts in hiring practices? Things of that nature. So essentially staying on top so that our students can feel ready for the time when they start to apply to internships and job opportunities for their time after Willamette. Also knowing about different career paths and opportunities that they can get involved with. So really that also points into establishing connections with not only faculty and other staff members on campus, but also in employers and alumni who are a part of these career journeys, a part of these career industries, and really getting them connected and being able to network and find out a little bit more information. And including that, also opportunities where they can showcase their knowledge and showcase their skill set, or even develop their skill set in the various opportunities for them to get involved with. And then, of course, in addition to that, supporting them in finding ways of offering additional opportunities for them to continue their own professional development. And that can include some programming events that we put on. Jessica has already talked about a couple that we've put on already in her statement, and definitely like figuring out what faculty are talking about in the classroom and being able to expand that. So we're talking about maybe careers that you could potentially do with this major, skill sets that are really essential, organizations that you can get involved with, and so forth. And from there, I've actually been in this role since July, and there's actually some things that, I've been super excited to be doing and continuing to be doing to this day. And that first thing is doing outreach with our campus partners around campus, whether that be athletics, student life, the Atkinson Graduate School of Management, developing relationships across campus to be able to connect with our students, find our students who are a part of the business and entrepreneurship career community so that they know that I'm here and that I'm also able to provide resources and help them in their career journey as they go throughout their time here at Willamette. In addition to that, really trying to establish relationships with student groups on campus so that we can have further in-depth conversations about career, about opportunities. That might look like going to a student club organization like the Investment Club. And then, of course, continuing on some of that workshop series, that some of the things that I put on. This fall semester, I put on 2 workshop series. One that's more of that career exploration, major exploration, and then one that's really talking about real talk conversations that I've done in partnership with Jessica Davis. And some of them includes coffee and career chat. So just having an open space for students to bring in their questions, talk about ways to get involved, maybe have a question in regards to their resume. Is this right for me? Identifying like, what does this actually mean to be a part of this career community? Imposter syndrome in the workplace, especially catered towards students of color who are now starting to get into these opportunities. And lastly, heteronormative professionalism, figuring out practices or ways to combat so that you as a queer individual can feel comfortable within spaces that essentially make you feel like you're unapologetically yourself. And so that is some of the work that I am doing and can't wait to continue doing. And with that said, I will now pass it off to Lynn Brown.
Thank you, Manny. One of the things that I think is important to realize in all of the talking about career development that we're doing, and I guess I want to pause for a second and say that I'm the newest member of this team, and I am just completely amazed by the talent that's in this group and the potential impact it can have on our students because of the diversity and the different points of view that we're all bringing to this team. Just really excited about it. But one of the things that's been really important to me for a long time is the idea that in higher education, we know that there are high impact activities, and I know Anne Lapour spoke about that too, that are particularly important for shaping student success. And in some ways, the most important measure of success is completion. And by early and often engagement in career development activities, there's a funny saying, but it's keeping the eye on the prize. And we know that completion of a bachelor's degree in higher education is the line in the sand for earning potential for an individual student's lifetime. And so the things that we can do to really engage the student to stay involved have to do with these three things. And even though we are very creative in how we approach career development, we actually are following very clear and very well thought out guidelines by the National Association of Colleges and Employers. They really have a good idea of what a really good career services office looks like. And we're building this model. Mandy has built this model to be very well aligned with what they say is important. And we know that having an internship in their field of study is one of the things that is really important for career success. In addition, study abroad and relationship with a faculty member who can also mentor them in their professional field is really critical. We call the organization in Portland the Talent Hub because it is really aggressively looking at employer relationships that are built upon connections with employers and oftentimes alumni who have become employers, and their interest is in providing a high impact experience for a student. And so that is a real critical part of the work that I do. And realistically, many of our Willamette Salem-based students will end up working in the Portland labor market. It's a large labor market. It's growing all the time. And there's a lot of industries that are based on sportswear and the technology industries. And so I spend my days working with students directly, but I also am reaching out to employers and recruiters and getting really good understanding of what they're looking for in employees that they're going to hire. Our internship program is very robust. It's very academically oriented, and our statistics in 2020 showed that over 50% of the internships resulted in a job offer. And one of the things I find fascinating is that the job offer may have come from the host at the internship site, but it may have also come from a contact that was an introduction during the internship process. Or, for instance, a gallery opening. A student may meet someone at that gallery opening that ends up offering the student a job because of their internship and what they demonstrated. One of the things that kind of is interesting to me is that many of our students do internships during the summer, and we would call that high season in terms of internships. And that's because students have more availability to do internships. But those internships are generally registered for fall semester. So even right now, I'm having active conversations with students who anticipate doing a summer internship, even though they'll be registered for fall. Just as a point of reference, I am instructor of record for about 54 internships right now in the Portland metro area. Just a little bit of historical point of view. About 10 years ago, when I was director of career services at Marylhurst University, I would teach career design classes, and we would look at core values, and pretty uniformly, 80% of the students would say that job security is one of their core values. And from studies that I have read and things that Mandy has shared with us, I know that job security is really about what the student understands about themselves, how they can apply transferable skills, and how they can actually become a free agent in the marketplace. Students that graduate now will change jobs approximately every 3 years. That's kind of reality. It's informed by social media. It's informed by a lot of different things. But what I find over and over is that when I talk to employers, the thing that they really value is flexibility. And we've kind of jokingly been calling it flexitude. There are a couple recruiters that actually use that word, that they really want to hire people who, when they say this is what needs to be done, the student or recent grad can say, yes, I can do that. And I think that is something that the liberal arts education really sets students up for success. And that is really exciting to me. One of the transformational things in my career life is I took a class at Stanford in 2017 that was entitled Designing Your Life. And I feel that there are some design principles that we can apply to career development that are very easily learned and can be used over the course of a lifetime to solve the problems of, okay, well, what do I need to do to learn a new skill to fit into this particular change in the labor market? And the students that I'm meeting with are very open to that conversation, and I think it will be something they'll continue to talk to us about. I think that that's it.
Thanks, Lynn. So just in kind of wrapping up, every time I hear this team talk and showcase their work, I kind of swell with pride, almost parental pride. Like, look at what they're doing. This is an amazing group of professionals working with your students, and we are still growing. So we will be adding to the team. Hopefully in spring semester, our family care pre-health director, we do have an offer out for that particular role that we are hoping we get to onboard that person and they accept and all the things go as planned. We are currently hiring. Anne is chairing our search for our career advisor for public service, and Lynn is chairing our search for our career advisor for arts, media, and communication. And then the university also was just approved Title III grant, and we will also get to hire for our STEM career advisor. So we will have a full team at that point. So all of these positions are either active or getting ready to be posted so that we have experts in all of these various communities to work with your students. That is the end of our formal presentation. So we would like to open it up in the chat for questions. So I'm going to go to the chat here and see. Oh, someone gave us a thumbs up on our presentation. Thank you so much.
We have a few questions in the Q&A.
Eric, can you see them? Do you want to bounce them to us?
Sure.
Oh, this is to hosts and panelists. Q&A. Gotcha. Okay, I see one. Okay, my daughter is a junior, but I don't recall whether as a sophomore that she had any of those career development opportunities as of last year, perhaps due to COVID. Indeed, due to COVID, but also last year we were about half our size. So we did many things with our small and mighty team, but we have doubled in size since last year, and we will double again by next year. So it would, in the future, be very difficult, I think, for your students to not hear about career development. But we are still, especially coming back from COVID, re-engagement with the student community has been a very strong focus of this team. Okay, next question. My student is a senior and has missed a lot of what you are now implementing. How are you catching those students up? I'm happy to answer this, but I also want to see if any of the team members want to chat about this. Okay, I'm going to take it then. If anyone says me, I want it. We are trying to do some intentional messaging to our seniors. The truth is, a lot of the seniors have missed a lot of the career development opportunities because of COVID. So your senior is not alone in the fact that they're feeling maybe a little bit behind in their career development. So we've started already messaging our seniors saying, I also think, and this is, I guess, asking for parent partnership. Sometimes students think that they should come to career development when they know what they want to do or when they have the job they want to apply to. And we really are trying to actively message to students that this is a place where you can actually come and discover the things that maybe you feel behind on or that you don't know, and that we have a variety of professionals based on who they feel that they might connect to that can help them in that regard. Right now, I will say fall is a wonderful time for seniors to engage in their career development for life after WU. We still have time to help them network, and we still have time to help them implement a very effective job search strategy. Lynn talked about completing the bachelor's. How can WU help students recover grades from the first years that may not match what they are doing now? That is, if you got a bad grade as a first year, how can you rectify this as a junior or senior? Lynn.
Because that question came to me, I'm going to kind of go out on a little bit of a limb here and say there are a lot of things that may not really matter. And I think a lower grade early on is not that significant. I think truly, as Mandy has said so clearly, the main thing is to engage with the career development support right now. There really aren't very many situations where employers have a chance to look at a grade point average, or there's some leveling that happened during COVID in many respects. And I think we're all going to acknowledge that it was a really tough 18 months, and some of our students didn't perform as well as they might have liked. But I think the main thing is to look forward and to access the support that is here and to think creatively about what's next.
Okay, our next question is about internship for academic credit. The question is, my student did an internship last summer, but wasn't able to get credit or funding from Willamette. Lynn said this is now possible, but that sounds like a new policy. How can students get credit retroactively? I'm going to go ahead and take this one. They cannot. We do not offer retroactive credit for internship. The internship needs to take place at the same time as the course. We do have internship funding that is also growing, that we give for summer internships. So it is a competitive process. So just because students apply doesn't necessarily mean they get that funding, but we do try to give away all of the money. And we do support a lot of students through those internship funds for summer. What might you suggest to a junior who is not engaged with the Career Center yet? I'm going to ask Jessica. Yeah, Jessica to answer this one.
I was going to ask if I could anyway. Okay. So my suggestion, I speak for myself when I say that I try to help students feel as comfortable as possible. So my office is not the only place that I will meet with students. If students are more comfortable in the bistro or in the hearth of the academic building that they spend the most time in, or hanging out outside by the Millstream, I am more than willing, and I think that most of us are, to meet students in different spaces to kind of help bridge that gap a little bit. I want students to feel as comfortable as possible, always. My suggestion to that student, and it probably sounds easier said than done, is literally just to stop by. It can feel really intimidating and like a big thing. But even if they don't know what questions to ask or what questions they have, just coming by and introducing themselves and allowing us to kind of build that connection is a great place to start. If they're a junior, I would imagine they might be interested in pursuing some internship opportunities next summer if they haven't already. So even something like that can be a great place to start of like, okay, well, what did you end up settling on for your major? What are some of the requirements for that as you're building your resume? How can I help you find some of those things? So just coming in is a great place to start, or sending an email to one of us and saying, hey, could we meet here instead of in your office? Totally open to that to help students feel most comfortable. But I would say that most students who I meet with, at least, they leave saying this is way less intimidating than I thought it was going to be. And so just stopping by is a really great first step, honestly.
And do you want to take our next question? It is around how do students, after they've been gone from Willamette, so they're alumni, maybe they've volunteered abroad or done something, how can they connect back with Willamette after coming back from their experiences?
Yes, I'm happy to answer that. So, yes, we are still here for our alums. So, and that's actually a very common practice for students to go and do something for a year or 2 years, be it a job or a service opportunity, something like Peace Corps, Teach for America, JET, anything like that. So the best way for them to get back connected to us is just to contact our office. And we are open to alumni appointments. We do have some caps on that just because we have to make sure that we are still keeping our availability for our current students, but especially during non-peak times, like, you know, when the rest of Willamette is on winter break, that our career advisors are still available typically to meet with students. I would advise them to get in touch with us during those non-peak times. But yes, we are still around. And I would just like to point out too that sometimes students get nervous about taking time off and doing something else before pursuing a graduate degree or a job. And what I find is typically those kinds of experiences, not only, I'm the psychologist again, so I think about self-knowledge and how that helps them clarify their career goals. So those are really powerful experiences for that. They also look outstanding to employers and to graduate programs. So, but yes, they can always reconnect with us, and we are still there for our alums.
Thanks. And Manny, would you like to take this next question about summer internships for first-year students?
I sure can. So when it comes to summer internships can actually be a really great opportunity for students to really get involved with various organizations and build up their skill set. It's also a great time because sometimes they don't necessarily have a lot of other responsibilities that they might have to do, such as like extracurriculars or such as like academic coursework, unless they're involved with other academic classes, like maybe they're doing it for credit. For summer internships, some actually start recruiting in the fall and some will do in the spring. So definitely we encourage our students, if they're interested in looking for a summer internship opportunity, to start doing some of their search in the fall. And we are more than happy to talk about internship search strategies to be able to get them to identify organizations that they want to work with. What do they specifically want to get out of an experience?
Thank you, Manny. I'm realizing we're running out of time, so I'm trying to answer some of these questions in the chat before we lose the opportunity to do that. So I'm going to encourage the team to do that as well. If you can see any of these that you can answer, just so that the parents can get a question answered, that would be great. Our next question that was up was, are you also involved in law school, or is that part of internships? Are there opportunities during undergrad? So I would say yes and no to this particular question. Yes, we work with undergraduate students in the law school application process all of the time, helping students prepare for the LSAT, their personal statements, their getting their documents ready, things like that. We can also help them get the internships that will help them explore whether or not law school is right for them. But there is, in the law school, Willamette actually has a law school, their own career professionals office. So for the law students themselves, there is a career team for them. Okay, how has COVID affected what students can do related to internships and career development? How can parents support children to explore career development, and how should we as parents support them? I wish you would have been on our Saturday session we did on Parents Weekends, 5 things parents can do to help their kids be career ready when they graduate, that Manny and I did. This is a long answer in terms of how COVID has affected career and things like that. So I'm actually going to type my email to this particular person, and I'd be happy to chat with them about how COVID has affected internships. It changed them really dramatically in the beginning. Now they're coming back. Some of them are still remote. Some of them are in person. But we're seeing recovery in that regard, I would say. And then things that you can do specifically, I would love to be in touch with you. Another one. So it's Devereux at Willamette.edu. I'm not difficult to find, but I'd be happy to chat with you about things that you can do to help your student be career ready when they graduate. Manny's typing an answer. This last question is something, how will it be pushed out? I'm not sure what that is referring to.
Hi, sorry. Thank you for clarifying the question. Probably via email initially. We also, so we will be doing a targeted email to our sophomore class. And what we have found, so we experimented with this during COVID actually, is we did some pre-recorded workshops that we pushed out to students that way. And what we actually found was that when we can link to something on YouTube and provide information that way, oftentimes we get more students accessing those videos than we do students showing up to a physical space when they're very busy. And so the sophomore programming that we have offered thus far this year has been pretty sparsely attended. And so we felt like we wanted to experiment. Jessica and I and Mandy decided we wanted to experiment with something else. So it will go out in an email and sophomores can access it that way. And then they will be very much encouraged to come connect with us after as well. So they should watch their email as well as our Career Talk newsletter. They get a newsletter from Career Development every Monday in their inbox. Every student does. And we post loads of great information in there, videos, things like that. So they should definitely be reading that. You could encourage them to take a look at that as well.
Well, this was a fantastic presentation, amazing. And I really enjoyed hearing this evening. And I learned a lot myself. So just a fantastic presentation. So thanks very much, Mandy, and all of our presenters this evening for sharing this information with us. And hopefully our audience found this as valuable as I did. And to all of you out there, thanks again for joining us this evening, and please take care.